Greetings, legendary readers. Welcome to Larry's Legendary Library, where I explore science fiction, fantasy, and other bits and bobs. Today is Magazine Monday, and I will be reviewing 3 stories from the May 1952 issue of Worlds of If. First is Welcome Martians by S.A. Lombino, which is his given name, but his pen name, which he's more famously known, is Ed McBain. Ed McBain is famous for his police procedurals. He wrote several episodes of Columbo, among other television credits. In Welcome Martians, we have 2 men from Earth who land on Mars as part of humanity's first manned mission to the planet. To their complete astonishment, Mars is already populated by people just like humans. They have cities, they speak English, they even have hotels. Things get stranger when the Martians begin celebrating the astronauts' return from Earth, as if Mars were the original home world and Earth was the place that they had just explored. The astronauts try repeatedly to explain the truth, but the Martians just assume they're joking. Eventually, the mystery is revealed. Earth and Mars evolved almost identically. Both planets sent astronauts to each other at the same time, each believing they were the first explorers. Both sets of explorers, while having different names, looked very much alike. This story was fine. It wasn't particularly memorable for me. I give it an L2 low key. For taxonomy, I would classify this as puzzle. Most of the story revolves around unraveling the misunderstanding and reconciling the 2 conflicting versions of history. The second story, It Takes a Thief by Walter M. Miller Jr. He's best known for his Hugo Award-winning novel, A Canticle for Leibowitz, which I enjoyed. From what I can tell, this story was written before A Canticle, and it definitely shows early hints of that same thematic depth and even similar themes. The story is set on Mars in the far future. It opens with our protagonist, Asir, being bound to a post in a crucifixion-like position. He's awaiting judgment beyond the crucifixion to see whether he will live or die, whether he will have parts of him cut off. But it's not for stealing money or stealing something tangible, but for stealing ideas. He's accused of stealing thoughts and quotations from ancient thinkers like Einstein and Fermi. Asir's girlfriend, Mara, tries to intervene and save him. Together, they uncover a much larger problem. Humanity on Mars has devolved into a pre-technological society, and something has gone deeply wrong, something that threatens the survival of what remains of humanity. Asir and Mara set out on a dangerous journey to understand what happened and, if possible, to fix it. I love this story. It did strongly remind me of A Canticle for Leibowitz in tone and theme. For a short story, it packs an impressive amount of depth. I gave this story an L5 legendary. It was just a very enjoyable read. I also felt like it could probably have been a fix-up novel with A Canticle for Leibowitz, making this story the ending and much further into the future if they could have incorporated, the Leibowitz information. As far as taxonomy goes, primarily is puzzle. Asir is trying to determine what went wrong on Mars and how to restore it. There's even a scene that feels like it could have come straight out of an Indiana Jones movie. Secondary classification, I'd give it philosophy. The story raises big questions about knowledge, preservation, cultural decay, and the story definitely would reward deeper reflection. As a bonus, this story is available in the public domain, and I will share a link in the description if you are interested in reading it. The third story is The Beast by John W. Jakes. The protagonist and two fellow astronauts land on a hot and arid planet to map it and survey it. When one crew member fails to return, the remaining two set out to find him. They eventually discover his body killed by a massive panther-like creature. Before dying, the missing astronaut claims that he saw his wife. It turns out that the creature can manipulate perception, forcing its victims to hallucinate whatever it chooses. When it appears as a loved one, the astronauts find themselves physically unable to fire their weapons. The situation feels hopeless and potentially fatal. This was an interesting concept. I stayed engaged to see how it would resolve. Unfortunately, the ending didn't land quite as strongly for me as I had hoped. I give this an L2 low key, a few compelling ideas, but ultimately forgettable. Taxonomy, I classify this as puzzle. How do you defeat an intelligent predator that can control your vision and your emotions? And that's a wrap for the May 1952 issue of Worlds of If. Overall, I'm very pleased with this issue, especially since the L5 legendary story, to me, more than compensated for the two L2s. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Walter M. Miller Jr. Have you read his books or short stories? Do you enjoy his writing as much as I do? Let me know in the comments. I always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay legendary.